What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're having a fantastic third day. It is Thursday, the third day, March the 13th, 2025. I am not in my normal situation. I am not in my normal setup. I am not in my normal office setting, as is obvious for those of you watching live in the Bleacher Report app and on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel after the fact. I'm in California. I just actually today on Thursday played Spanish Bay, lived to tell the tale. It was a lot of fun. Tomorrow on Friday, my family and I were playing Pebble Beach, and so it's been nice to get some golf in on top of the Dallas Cowboys having a successful week in free agency. I genuinely feel that to be the case, not in a homer way. I think if you follow me, you know that I am anything but a Dallas Cowboys homer. I'm anything but a Dallas Cowboys shill. I have zero problem dragging the Dallas Cowboys. I have zero issue calling out things that I see in the Dallas Cowboys, but I genuinely believe that we have things to be happy about as Dallas Cowboys fans. By the way, if you want to see me calling them out or dragging them or whatever the case may be, you can follow me on social media on X, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa. TikTok is rj.ochoa. Email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Also, I'm live here every Tuesday and Thursday in the Bleacher Report app at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every Tuesday and Thursday, like I said, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's all throughout the year, Tuesday and Thursday every week. You can also catch them after the fact, these streams, these videos, obviously, on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel, or you can watch them on demand here in the Bleacher Report app as well. All right, so I want to talk about how positively I think the Cowboys are doing or have been doing or have fared in free agency so far, but something popped up right now as I was about to set up, right now as I was actually setting up the stream and getting ready to go live, et cetera, et cetera. It is 4 p.m. for me because I'm in California, as I mentioned, but obviously the day is passing by, the business day, and that's what's made, you know how it is when you travel and you're kind of out of sorts and you don't know what day it is, whatever. And so I traveled most of yesterday on Wednesday, some of Tuesday, and so been managing free agency coverage for blogoftheboys.com in the middle of all that. And shout out to Dave Halprin and our wonderful staff, obviously, for helping out so I can come play a little bit of golf. But that being said, free agency has been going on. And I maintain that the Cowboys have done some really, really, I would actually say, smart things. However, because free agency has been going on, other players have gone to new teams. Some Cowboys have gone to new teams. We've already talked about how Jordan Lewis and Chuma Edoga left for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chauncey Golston left for the New York Giants. And on Wednesday, it was revealed that Demarcus Lawrence was leaving to go to the Seattle Seahawks. Rico Dowdle also left for the Carolina Panthers. Makes sense. He's got the Carolina connection. The Cowboys have Javonte Williams now. All due respect to Rico, we kind of saw that coming. The Demarcus Lawrence thing also felt pretty obvious, felt like it was going to happen at some point, that he was going to be leaving. I think we just had a few questions whether or not he was going to keep playing, things like that. But he's going to the Seattle Seahawks. Good for him. I have zero problem with Demarcus Lawrence leaving, and I actually have zero problem with what I'm about to show you. So Demarcus Lawrence, got to Seattle, starts doing stuff, content with the Seahawks team, etc. And it's difficult to play videos here on the overlay, but I'm going to play it for you on my phone. So this is a clip. Shout out to new_era72 who clipped this. We're doing it old school. I'm just going to play it for you right here. This is Demarcus Lawrence interviewing in Seattle, talking about his new situation, leaving the Cowboys for the Seahawks in free agency, etc. Here we go.
This is my home. I made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there, but, I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So, yeah.
We here. That's Demarcus Lawrence talking about Dallas, and obviously he's been with the Cowboys in Dallas his entire career, drafted in the second round of 2014. The Cowboys showed up to get him, and as you and I are speaking, people are really upset. Some Cowboys fans, I think there's two responses. There's people saying, oh, he's totally right, blah, blah, and then there's other people saying, like, how could he say this? That's a cheap shot, it's a stray, whatever. Actually, I don't think it's a stray. It's like a straight up actual – a stray is when it's incidental, but it's just this was – pretty intentional, it seemed, on Demarcus Lawrence's behalf. I honestly, though, again, maybe I'm just in a great mood this week, and I feel like the Cowboys are doing well in free agency. Maybe that's some of it, but I honestly don't think that this is that big of a deal. I think this is Demarcus Lawrence saying, yeah, they're not going to win the Super Bowl because I'm here, right? He's gassing up his new team. He's saying the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl because I'm here now. I know the Cowboys aren't going to win it because I'm not with the Cowboys anymore. I think it's just standard operating procedure. I think it's just a line. I don't think it's Demarcus Lawrence saying, like, yeah, I left those losers because they can't win the Super Bowl and blah, 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 blah. He's never been that type of person. He's an animated person in terms of what he says to the media, but he's never been somebody to be that aggressive. And I can't imagine that he would want to write a check that big on his first full day as a member of the Seattle Seahawks. But that's just my read on the situation. Now, I mentioned my read on free agency at large. Let's put something on your screen here. We've been tracking all week long all of the free agent moves that the Cowboys have been making over for you at bloggingtheboys.com. And there have been a lot of things, as you can see here. Again, head to bloggingtheboys.com. You can refresh it. You can see it all the time. We're updating it constantly. As you can see, it was last updated. We need to change that, actually. That should be Thursday, March 13th. It's not Tuesday. But anyway, so in order, the Cowboys re-signed Osa Odighizuwa, CJ Goodwin, Wanye Thomas, Brock Hoffman, Tyrus Reed, Marcus Bell, Trent Sieg. We knew all that. You knew Javonte Williams. You knew Rob Jones. You knew Solomon Thomas. Kevontae Turpin's coming back. Peyton Turner is one of the newbies. Brian Anger's coming back. Yesterday, Wednesday, was when a bulk of things happened that seemed to piss a lot of people off. Cowboys traded for Kaiir Elam of the Buffalo Bills. They also signed Jack Sanborn. That happened right after the new league year began. They traded for linebacker Kenneth Murray from the Tennessee Titans as well. And then on Thursday, the only bit of action so far, they're bringing Dakota Shepley back. So if we examine the tentacles of what the Cowboys have done, how they've gone about free agency so far, if we look at this, a lot of these things happened before the new league year began on Wednesday. So obviously bringing back Osa and all their restricted free agents, that happened before. None of that was really shocking. But agreeing to terms with Javonte Williams and agreeing to terms with Rob Jones and even agreeing to terms with Solomon Thomas, these things, these three things right here, these all happened in the legal tampering window. Now, again, I talked about this on Tuesday. I'm not sitting here and telling you should clap for the Dallas Cowboys because they're brilliant and they're on the cutting edge and they're forward thinking and they're the most efficient front office in the NFL right now. That's not my stance. My stance is they are doing things that normal front offices, normal NFL teams do. That's what this is. Is it sad that bar is worth being celebrated for us right now? Totally. I mean, that goes without saying. We all know that the status quo of the Cowboys right now is pretty down bad. But I maintain that doing things that functional NFL franchises, functional NFL front offices, doing things that these normal teams do that we have asked them to do is improvement, is, being different. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it. So they agree to terms with several players before the legal tampering window opens. That also includes Peyton Turner, by the way. Then even before the legal tampering window is open, they agreed to this trade with the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to come back to the trades because they pissed off a lot of people, like I said. But after the new league year began, they brought in Jack Sanborn, obviously has the relationship with Matt Eberflus dating back to Chicago, whatever. So we've seen them utilize the window before free agency officially began on Wednesday by way of legal tampering. We saw them obviously agree to terms and get Jack Sanborn done after that happened. That's another avenue of roster construction and roster building that they pursued. We've seen them now execute two different trades for Kaiir Elam and Kenneth Murray. We've seen them bring back a number of players on their own roster. Did they let several go, and Jordan Lewis and Chuma Edoga and Chauncey Golston and Rico Dowdle and Demarcus Lawrence? Yes, absolutely. But that being said, they have done things several different ways. They've done things in the legal tampering window. They've done things after the new league year began. They executed trades. They signed some of their own. They made some hard decisions and let people – look, I love Demarcus Lawrence, and Demarcus Lawrence may have not meant any ill will with his comment. He may have meant 100% ill will with his comment. Whatever the case may be, as much as I love Demarcus Lawrence, and I think you agree with me here, there's no way that the Cowboys should have signed him to what Seattle did. Got the bag from the Seahawks. And good for Tank. I'm super happy for him. But I don't think the Cowboys are in a position to make that particular decision relative to Demarcus Lawrence these days. So I think it was wise for them to move on. So we've seen them also turn down deals that we wouldn't necessarily want them to match from players who got them elsewhere. Would it have been nice of the Cowboys to keep Jordan Lewis and Chauncey Golston at the numbers that they got from the Jaguars and the Giants? Sure. I'm totally down to do those deals. And so we can pick and we can choose. But ultimately, I maintain that the Cowboys are doing a lot of things. They were active on Monday. They have made a move. I mean, whether it was an external addition or obviously agreeing to terms with somebody on their own team, or an extension, or a restricted free agent, whatever. They have done something every day this week. Now, Dakota Shepley barely lets that count on Thursday, but they did something. They did a lot of things on Monday. They did a handful of things on Tuesday. They were very busy on Wednesday, and they have technically checked the box of doing something on Thursday. Would we like to see them sign Cooper Kupp, or would we like to see them sign Asante Samuel? Like things like that. Totally. I'm not sitting here and telling you that they are perfect. But what I am sitting here and telling you is that we have moaned and groaned. We have complained. We have whined. And maybe you don't think that those words are fair characterizations. I don't think they are either. We have said things that were objectively true. We have asked for things to be different. We have begged them to do things like what they're doing, and they are doing them. And so I don't think it's fair to sit here and say, well, not like that, or sit here and say, well, that move is dumb, and sit here and say, like, now you're being silly. No, they are turning things into other things, and that is exactly what we have asked them to do. Now, something that needs to be added to this conversation for some context is what the Cowboys have done from a comp pick standpoint. On Tuesday, it was announced that the Cowboys received 4 compensatory picks. If you don't know what those are, the TLDR is when you lose free agents. If you don't sign a bunch of free agents, if the free agents you lost sign for big money and play a lot elsewhere, you get compensatory picks in return. The Cowboys love compensatory picks. Now, the Cowboys picked up 4 compensatory picks on Tuesday, which gave them 10 total selections in the NFL draft. They had 10 total picks as of Tuesday evening. They still, as of this moment that you and I are talking, have 10 total picks in the NFL draft, but they made 2 different trades. So here are the picks the Cowboys now have. I wrote this for you. It's up at bloggoftheboys.com. This is where their picks stand after Wednesday's trades. Their first 4 picks were not, actually their first 4 picks were not impacted at all. In the first round, they have 12 overall, second round, 44 overall, third round, 76 overall. Obviously, they don't have a 4th round draft pick. We can sit here and discuss that till we're blue in the face. But 5th round, they have 149 overall. But this is where things have gone haywire, and this is where things have really changed a ton over the course of the last few days. These 2 picks, 171 and 174, are brand new. Those are comp picks that the Cowboys received, obviously both in the 5th round. They had another 5th round pick that went right up here. It was number 170 overall. They sent that to Buffalo in that Kaiir Elam trade, but they did get back a pick from Buffalo in that trade, which was 204 overall. So in exchange for Kaiir Elam, all the Cowboys did was drop that pick, again, was 170 that they gave to the Bills. They dropped 34 selections. So the Cowboys dropped 34 selections on a pick that they didn't even have on Tuesday morning, and picked up a former first rounder in Kaiir Elam. It's a very difficult name for me to say. I don't know why. At a position of need, particularly after Jordan Lewis left for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that's efficient roster building. Look, I know that you think, or you've seen, or you've read, or someone you know has told you that Kaiir Elam sucks. And I'm not even sitting here and telling you that Kaiir Elam is awesome. I'm not even sitting here and telling you that Kaiir Elam doesn't suck. But what I am sitting here and telling you is the Cowboys turned a pick that they did not have 72 hours ago, kind of ish at the time that I'm talking here. You get my point. A week ago, they turned a pick they didn't even have into a veteran and kept the pick. They only dropped that pick 34 slots. Now, I'm not sitting here and telling you that pick 204, the one the Cowboys got from Buffalo, is amazing, but they did not get fleeced here. I mean, again, this pick was something they did not have a week ago, and they turned it into a player and another pick. They still got a pick. They didn't, just throw away a pick on anything like this. So that was just the Kaiir Elam trade. Obviously, you see pick 211 here is another comp pick that Dallas picked up. That one's on the 6th round. But then you see this pick 239 in the 7th round. Dallas did send pick 188 to the Tennessee Titans for Kenneth Murray. So they dropped, obviously, 47 spots to get to, not 47, 49, goodness gracious, 51 spots. I need to change that math right there. Cowboys dropped again, which is, almost 2 rounds, a round and a half, but still dropped 51 spots and picked up a veteran at a position of need. The Cowboys this week, if we consider the external additions, I'll go back to this in a moment here, but they have addressed a lot of positions, and they still have 10 picks to work with. This final one was untouched. This is 247. This came from Carolina when Dallas traded their 4th round pick to the Panthers for Jonathan Mingo. So, look, I understand that you think that the players the Cowboys have brought in suck, or they're Jags, or they stink, or whatever. That may be true, but I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite of myself, at least. I'm not calling you a hypocrite. I have asked, I have pleaded with, I have begged the Dallas Cowboys to do things exactly like this. these trades for Kaiir Elam and Kenneth Murray do not have the same sort of flash or pizzazz or sex appeal that the trades for Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks did a couple of years ago. But they fit the same sort of philosophical disposition that those did at the time. At the time, again, they're not the same trades, but at the time, when Dallas traded with Indianapolis for Stephon Gilmore and Houston for Brandon Cooks, they were addressing two positions of serious need, and they did it with veteran acquisitions for day 3 picks. That's exactly what these are. They turned day 3 picks that they didn't even have a week ago into positions of need, into players at positions of need. They are better at those positions than they were simply just for having Kaiir Elam and Kenneth Murray. Again, I understand you may think, or you may have seen that one or both of these players are washed or are terrible, blah, blah, blah. But again, the Cowboys have addressed a ton of positions, and they have 10 draft picks to work with here. I'm not saying that means they're going to draft 10 Pro Bowlers or 10 superstars or anything like that, but I don't think it's fair to sit here and poke and prod and say that they're acting dumb and acting a fool. Again, I still want to see them do some things, and I maintain and stand by the fact that they have done a lot of dumb things to the point that doing the bare basic minimum is impressive at this point in time. I can contextualize and ration with how sad that is, but it doesn't change the fact that it is impressive. It doesn't change the fact that utilizing these mechanics, utilizing these outlets of roster construction is what elite front offices do. That doesn't mean that the moves are going to wind up with elite returns on investment, but these are flyers. The Cowboys turned a lottery ticket into 2 lottery tickets by way of a veteran who was a former first-round draft pick, who has a chance, who they believe in, who their scouting department liked at the time, and another draft pick by way of a pick. There is no way, I'm sorry, whoever you are, if you're still mad about this, I think you need to have a talk with yourself. If you're pissed off that the Cowboys threw away, in your estimation, pick number 170, you need to come back down to earth a little bit here. If you're getting upset about the Cowboys throwing away, pick number 170, you're not being fair. Now, we do have a little bit of breaking news. We don't necessarily have this a lot here in our stream, so let's go ahead and get to it. Shout out to Jane Slater, friend of mine, friend of Blogging the Boys, who just tweeted this out. Cowboys safety, I think it could be a corner, but Cowboys defensive back Izzy Mukuamu will return on a 1-year deal to the Cowboys. Terms are undisclosed. So the Cowboys now bringing back Izzy Mukuamu will, of course, have the tracker updated for you at Blogging the Boys. So let's put that tracker back up on your screen, because I think it's important to kind of assess the positional needs that have been addressed by the Cowboys. All right, so obviously, we know the Cowboys brought back all these people, whatever. But let's talk about newbies, the new players, the players who were and are external additions. Javonte Williams, they've addressed running back, all right? Again, I know you may have wanted Najee Harris or whatever, but they addressed running back by way of Javonte Williams. They took care of a hole, and they're not pigeonholed ahead of the NFL draft. They took care of the interior of the offensive line with Robert Jones. Obviously, that was a need before Zach Martin retired, but the fact that he officially retired exacerbates that point. That's 2 positions of need the Cowboys addressed early on in free agency. Solomon Thomas, a defensive tackle. And look, I don't think it's fair to count, players who you gave new deals to in this particular conversation, but it's worth mentioning as far as the defensive tackle room is concerned as a whole, that the Cowboys did lock down Osa Odighizuwa to a long-term contract. And they did that along with Kevontae Turpin before the deadline. They got the Osa deal done before the franchise tag deadline. They got the Kevontae Turpin long-term deal done before having to place a second-round tender on him. That is, I don't even want to call it elite business. That's clean business. That's drama-free business. So, but whatever. Solomon Thomas, still outside of Osa, you address the interior of the defensive line. A veteran, obviously we talked about coming from the Jets, his familiarity, his relationship with Andrew Wycott. I love it. That's another position of need that you have addressed. That's 3 of them with your 3rd external addition. Then we're talking about Peyton Turner. And is Peyton Turner Demarcus Lawrence? No, nobody's saying that. Peyton Turner's a former first-round draft pick. We get it. The Cowboys clearly have a type here, but addresses a position of need. You needed another pass rusher. You needed another defensive end. And look, I know we give Dan Quinn a lot of credit, rightfully so, for moves like Dante Fowler or whatever the case may be whenever he was obviously the defensive coordinator. I'm not going this far with the hype that I'm giving the Cowboys, but they deserve some credit for their evaluation of their pro scouting department relative to pass rushers and defensive ends in the NFL. We all roll our eyes at the Carl Lawson move during training camp, and it worked out pretty wonderfully. So I'm willing to listen on Peyton Turner. I'm willing to say that this could work. I'm willing to say that this is possible, that this is not the dumbest thing of all time. But more than that, another position of need. Kaiir Elam, another position of need, a 5th different position of need. You're talking about now you got your corner, which was a need even before Jordan Lewis left, obviously became one to a larger degree, but still, that's another one. Then linebacker with Jack Sanborn. Jack Sanborn's a player and an acquisition, a free agency signing that a lot of people really, really, really liked. That's your sixth position of need that you addressed in free agency, and you doubled down on it, obviously, by the trade for Kenneth Murray. If you want to include Izimu Kwamba, I don't think that that's fair in the conversation that we're having because we're talking about external additions. But my point here is we're talking the Cowboys have addressed, again, running back. They have addressed the interior of the offensive line, the interior of the defensive line. They have addressed, goodness gracious, I know I'm skipping something here. What happened after the interior of the defensive line? So much of pass rusher. They addressed defensive end. They addressed corner. They addressed linebacker. They've given Matt Eberflus a newly stocked shelf, obviously, to work with in terms of ingredients and players. And again, that doesn't mean that these are amazing A-plus whatever moves, but I think it's important to be honest with ourselves. We tell them all the time. We say, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go wild. You do have to do something. To say you don't have to do anything is a lie. But you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be ridiculous. You have to do something in free agency. You have to do the bare minimum. This is more than the bare minimum. Again, they've addressed over a handful of positions of need. They have utilized a number of different mechanics to acquire players for their roster. They have been, I know that the jokes kind of write themselves, and I find the phrase to be annoying, so I'm sorry about this, but they have been selectively aggressive. They have, and look, if we also parse through the other stuff that has happened since hiring Brian Schottenheimer, and he's on the cover of this video, and I don't mean to give him all of the credit. I'm willing to give him some, I suppose. I mean, this is about beyond his role, obviously. But since hiring Brian Schottenheimer, which was a move that was universally crapped on, right? There's none of you out there who thought it was a good hire, and that's okay, right? Hand up. Let's just be honest. We're all adults here, right? We all hated that move. Since then, since hiring Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboys have been adults. Since hiring Brian Schottenheimer, the Cowboys have been chill. Think about what has happened. I recognize not a lot has happened then. And again, I'm not trying to hand out, blue ribbons and gold stars for simply existing. That's not what I'm doing here with the Cowboys. But what I think is important and fair and necessary is to evaluate this against what we have seen in the past. And in the past, when the Cowboys went to the Combine is just one example. Jerry Jones holds court. He talks about deals and extensions, and he stirs the pot. That didn't happen. Jerry was quiet. They didn't throw any chum in the water relative to Micah Parsons. Obviously, it doesn't look great for them that Max Crosby got paid, that Myles Garrett got paid. Those things work against them, whatever. But if they get the deal done soon enough, that will all be water under the bridge. But so they haven't really stirred the pot on anything like that. They haven't, done any Netflix things or whatever the case may be. And Stephen Jones said at the Combine that they would be selectively aggressive. They didn't say we're going to be all in. They didn't poke the bear. They didn't go wild. They didn't go crazy. But they did say that. And then what happened? They were all about football at the NFL Combine. They let their head coach and Brian Schottenheimer be the only person who spoke publicly at the NFL Combine. That never happens. I can tell you that never happens for the Dallas Cowboys. And so that was a rarity in and of itself. And then we get to free agency. They took care of the Osa Odighizuwa deal before having to place the franchise tag on him. They took care of the Kevontae Turpin deal before having to place a tender on him. They did a number of things in free agency during the legal tampering period before they technically had to. They made calls. They made moves. They made trades. And look, again, I know that all of this sounds like, RJ, you're just lowering your standard. That's not what's happening here. Look, the Cowboys traded comp picks, like we talked about a lot already. It took them less than 24 hours. The moment that those comp picks became workable assets, the Cowboys said, all right, bet. We're going to use them. We're going to go get Kyrie Elam. We're going to go get Kenneth Murray. We're going to improve. And you may be right, but you may assume or say that these aren't moves on par with what the Eagles are doing. Look at the Commanders. They're trading for Deebo Samuel. They're trading for Laramie Tunsil. You're right. That's fair. I'm not pushing back against that. What I am telling you is we have asked this team to grow up and to change and to do some things differently and to try it another way. I'm not saying that they have come all the way to, and cross the finish line of how we want to see things be done in a different manner. But what I am saying is that they are not on the starter line anymore. They have made progress. They have moved along. Are they halfway through? Are they 3/4? Are they, 3/8 or whatever? I don't know. But my point is they are definitely not at the starting line anymore. And that's worth being happy about. They are doing more than the bare minimum. They are doing their jobs. And look, again, I know that this sounds like a cyclical conversation, but I don't think that I don't think it's fair to say that they're these putzes because they are doing things that we are asking them to do, because we have specifically asked them to be active in the legal tampering window, to get deals done before deadlines in a drama-free way, like they did with Osa Digizua and Cavante Turpin. There were obviously Osa was up against that deal because the franchise tag deadline was approaching, but there was nothing. There were no reports. It was just one moment. It was like, boom, it's done. And the same thing with Cavante Turpin. They have not stirred the pot. They have not done anything. And whatever you attribute that to, hey, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you think that last year was organically tanking. Last year was resetting the books. Last year was whatever. I'm not going to attempt to try to understand the logic that went into 2024 for the Dallas Cowboys. But what I am going to say is that so far, it's fair to say that 2024 is in the rearview mirror. It's fair to say that it is impacting in terms of decisions that were made. But you get my point. It's fair to say, okay, we are turning the page a little bit onto 2025. We're not just going to obsess about what pissed us off in 2024. We're going to hopefully learn from it. We're going to hopefully grow. We're going to hopefully develop, but we're not just going to harp on 2024 anymore because it's over and it's done with. I think that's fair. I think that's healthy. I think that's, in my personal opinion, the right way to rock relative to this situation. So if we're looking at just 2025, I think that I'm pleased as a Cowboys fan. I think that I'm pleased right now. Do I want to see them do more? I see Ubnaz.com in the chat. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yes, do you think they'll go after Cooper Kupp? I tell you what, if they sign Cooper Kupp, I think people would feel even better. I mean, they absolutely have to. That's one of the positions of need that they have yet to address, obviously, right? We've talked about everything that they touched so far, which was running back and defensive tackle and interior of the offensive line and pass rusher and linebacker and corner, right? Now you brought back Cavante Turpin, and that's great and that's awesome. And that was something that you needed to do, that you should have done, and we're happy that you did it. But that the work isn't over there. And dare I say, now I'm on the branch of hope a little bit here, right? I kind of trust them. I kind of trust them based on what we're seeing here. If we're just looking at 2025, I kind of trust them to say, okay, we're going to see how this receiver thing goes. We're going to check on Cooper Kupp. We're going to find a price that we like. And I do think it's fair to say you cleared up all this cap space. What are you using it for? You have enough money to go. If you want to, people are so scared of overpaying Cooper Kupp. Oh, no, he's washed. No, he hasn't played a full season, blah, blah. Dude, so what? They have $55 million, $56 million in salary cap space. It's okay to overpay for Cooper Kupp. It's okay if they wind up overpaying for him, because I tell you what, if they overpay for him and then he delivers and he's awesome, we won't care. We won't sit here and be like, he was really, really, really good, but he should have been on the books for $4 million less. Nobody will care. You know what I mean? Like, you have the salary cap space. You don't have to penny pinch. And so if they go get Cooper Kupp, or if they go and get Asante Samuel, I mean, I would grade their free agency as a whole right now as a solid B+. I mean, I could even be convinced to give them an A- because they have done the things. I don't want to continue to speak for a bunch of people. They have done the things that I have been asking them to do. They have done the things that I believe they were galactically failing at. And now they're no longer not just galactically failing. They're genuinely thriving and genuinely succeeding at these particular things. And so I think it's fair to give them, a round of applause. And that's kind of where I'm at with the Dallas Cowboys. So I think it has been successful in a very much for real sort of way. So kudos, Cowboys. You do get a blue ribbon. You do get a gold star. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be a Dallas Cowboys fan. It's been a very long time since I have felt this way. And so hopefully they continue to do us proud. My name is RJ Ochoa. Hopefully you like what I do around here. Hopefully you enjoy listening to me talk about these Dallas Cowboys that hopefully you're proud of as well. I do so every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time here in the Bleacher Report app live. These go up on the Belong on the Boys YouTube after the fact, obviously. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video and subscribe. If you want to hang out with me on social media, I am on X, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa. I am on TikTok at rj.ochoa. Email, if that is more your thing, is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Thank you to everyone who said have fun at Spanish Bay. I'm playing Pebble Beach on Friday, so hopefully I live to tell that tale as well. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody for being understanding of my background being different and stuff like that. It's just, sometimes life happens, and we all got to kind of move and groove. And I hope everybody understands that and is, sympathetic, because we all have, whatever's going on. And I hope whatever you have going on is going well for you. And I can't wait to see you again on Tuesday when we're discussing the Cowboys. And hopefully Cooper Kupp is on the team. Let's try to manifest. Let's try to be positive. So yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of the week and weekend. I love you all, and I'll see you next time, man. Thanks so much for hanging out.